April 1945. Night. A Dutch city under German occupation. A Canadian commander stands over a map and tells his officers, "A direct assault is impossible. Too many Germans, too little time, too high a price. The city will have to be taken slowly, methodically, with heavy casualties on both sides." One soldier pushes back his chair and stands up. He says, "Give me one night." The commander looks at him. Standing across the table is a man with one eye. He lost the other one earlier in this same war. A man the army had already tried to send home twice. A man who refused both times. "One night," he repeats. Nobody in that room believes it's possible, but they let him try. That night, Leo Major liberated an entire city. Alone. You think you know what one person is capable of in a war. By the end of this video, you'll realize you don't. Because the story of Leo Major isn't just about courage. It's about what happens when a man refuses so completely to accept the word impossible, that reality itself starts to bend around him. It's about the kind of person who looks at a situation that would break most people and sees only the next step forward. This is one of the most extraordinary stories of the Second World War, and almost nobody knows it. Spring 1945. The Allies were pushing through Western Europe. Germany was retreating, but bitterly, desperately, without mercy. Every city, every village, every bridge was its own separate battle. The Germans didn't give up ground. They made you bleed for every meter. The Netherlands was still under occupation, and the Dutch population was suffering in ways that are almost impossible to imagine. The winter of 1944 to 1945 had become known in history as the Hunger Winter. The Hunger Winter. Food had run out. People were eating tulip bulbs to survive. They were dying of starvation on the streets of their own cities, in a country that had once been one of the most prosperous in Europe. The city of Zwolle was a major transportation hub in the north of the country. It had a German garrison, fortified positions, orders to hold at all costs. The Canadian Army approached the city and assessed the situation. The conclusion was grim. A direct assault would cost hundreds of lives, soldiers and civilians caught in the crossfire. The city might be destroyed in the process. The people who had already survived 5 years of occupation might not survive their own liberation. It was at this moment that Leo Major stood up and made his offer. One night, one man. Give me a chance. Leo Major was not a typical soldier. He was a man the war had tried to destroy multiple times, and failed every single time. 1. Normandy. Almost immediately after the D-Day landings, a German grenade exploded near him. A fragment hit him directly in the face. His left eye was destroyed, gone permanently, in an instant, on a beach in France. Military doctors told him the decision was straightforward. Go home. Unfit for combat. Discharged with honor. Leo Major said no. I still have one eye left to aim with, he told them, and refused to leave. He stayed in the field. He stayed with his unit. He kept fighting. Then came the Netherlands. December 1944. Major single-handedly ambushed a German reconnaissance patrol. 4 soldiers, including an officer carrying classified documents. He captured all of them and brought them back to Allied lines alone. His commanders put him forward for a decoration, a medal for extraordinary valor. Leo Major refused to accept it. He told them the divisional commander didn't deserve to be the one pinning a medal on his chest, because that commander had made decisions that cost the lives of men Major had fought alongside. He named the decisions. He explained his reasoning, and he handed the medal back. He refused a military decoration for bravery, because he didn't respect the man giving it. That was the person who asked for one night to liberate a city. And that was the person they said yes to. One soldier went with him. His close friend and fellow Canadian, Willie Arsenault. 2 men against a garrison. They entered the city under cover of darkness. The plan, if you could even call it a plan, was almost insane in its simplicity. Create the impression that a large Allied force had entered the city. Noise, fire, chaos, confusion. Make the German garrison believe that resistance was pointless, that they were already surrounded, that the battle was already lost before it began. The first minutes went according to plan. Then everything fell apart. They ran into a German patrol far earlier than expected. A firefight broke out in the darkness of a narrow street. It was sudden, close, and brutal. Willie Arsenault was killed. Leo Major was alone. Think about what that moment means. It's the middle of the night. You're deep inside an enemy-occupied city. The German garrison knows something is happening. Your only partner, your friend, is dead on the ground beside you. Every rational calculation says the same thing. This is over. Pull back. Report what happened. Nobody would blame you. That would not have been cowardice. That would have been common sense. Leo Major did not pull back. He carried Arsenault's body to a safe location, away from the street. He said goodbye to his friend, and then he turned back toward the city, alone. What he did over the next several hours reads like a scene from a film, the kind of scene where audiences lean forward in their seats and whisper, "There's no way that actually happened." It happened. Major ran through the streets of Zwolle alone. He burst into buildings where German units were stationed and opened fire. He set staff vehicles ablaze. He shouted commands in the darkness, creating the illusion of multiple attacking forces moving through different parts of the city simultaneously. He appeared in one location and was somewhere completely different 60 seconds later. The German garrison had no idea what was happening. Where was the fire coming from? How many were out there? Where were the main Allied forces? Every answer they reached led to another question. The situation felt enormous, coordinated, overwhelming, because one man was making it feel that way. Panic spread through the garrison the way fire spreads through dry grass. Fast, unstoppable, irrational. At some point during that night, Major cornered a German officer in a building. He didn't shoot him. Instead, he made him an offer. "Get your men out of this city, right now, while you still can, while there's still a way out." The officer looked into the single eye of the man standing in front of him. Whatever he saw there was apparently more convincing than any military argument. By the time the sun came up over Zwolle, the city was free. One night, one man, one eye. When the Canadian forces entered Zwolle that morning, the residents were already coming out of their homes. The German garrison was gone. The city was intact. No buildings destroyed by artillery. No civilian casualties from a street-by-street battle. No fires still burning. The commanders who had said it was impossible stood and looked at what one man had done in a single night. Major returned, alone, alive. He gave his report as though it were a routine patrol. The city of Zwolle never forgot. It still hasn't. Every year on the anniversary of its liberation, April 14th, the city remembers Leo Major. When he returned there in his later years, residents came out into the streets to see him. He was received not as a symbol or a monument, but as the specific man who gave them back their city, without destroying it in the process. The story didn't end with the Second World War. During the Korean War, Major volunteered again. He was in his early 30s, one-eyed, a veteran of one world war, and he went back. With his platoon, he captured a strategically vital hill called Hill 355, held it against forces that vastly outnumbered them, and refused to give it up. He was nominated for military decorations again. This time, he accepted them. There's a question that stays with you when you sit with this story long enough. What exactly makes a person capable of something like this? It wasn't equipment. It wasn't luck, though luck was certainly present. It wasn't physical perfection. He had one eye. He was alone. He was deep in enemy territory with his only companion dead. Something else was at work. Maybe the answer is simpler than it seems. Leo Major simply didn't give himself a way out. He didn't carry a retreat option in his mind. When he walked into that city, he walked in with the full weight of his intention, and nothing held in reserve. For him, there was only forward. There was only the next street, the next building, the next moment. We live in a world that constantly tells us about the limits of what's possible, about being realistic, about managing expectations, about all the reasons something won't work before you've even tried. Leo Major lived in that same world. He just didn't listen. One man walked into an occupied city at night and walked back out in the morning having freed it, without a single civilian casualty, without artillery, without backup, without his best friend who died in the first minutes. Some stories don't teach lessons. They just remind you of something you already knew but had somehow forgotten. That one person, with enough will and enough refusal to stop, can change everything. One man, one night, one city. Sometimes that's all it takes.